Good morning, student. As we know that in the second part of control and coordination, we have studied about spinal cord, reflex action, reflex arc, mechanism of reflex action, reflex arc, then a peripheral nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Let's move to the third part of the control and coordination, in which we are going to learn the coordination in plants, the movements in the plants, the nastic movement, the coordination of endocrine glands and endocrine glands. So first we come across with the coordination in plants. See, you have observed that the lotus flower blossom only when the sun rises and folds itself on sunset, whereas the night jasmine blossom on sunset and folds on sunrise. The roots from the branches of a big banyan tree grows towards earth. The tendrils of pepper plants have a spiral or twining movement around a tree during their growth. What makes plants show these phenomena? See, the movement of plants in response to various stimuli is called tropism. So we have different kinds of tropism like phototropism, response towards the light, geotropism, response towards gravity, hydrotropism, response towards water, thigmotropism, response towards touch, thermotropism, response towards temperature or heat, chemotropism, response towards chemicals. As we know that plants do not have a nervous system and a sense organs like animals. However, plants can sense the presence of stimuli like light, gravity, chemicals, water, soil and respond to them. This is brought about by plant hormones. Response in plants is so slow that it cannot be observed immediately, but the effect can be seen after some times. For example, plants tend to respond slowly to stimuli, but there are some exceptionals are there, like insectivorous plant, Venus flytrap, respond very quickly to touch. The second, the leaflet of a touch me not plant, or in Hindi we called it as a chui mui, or scientifically we call it as a Mimosa pudica, get immediately fold and dropped on touching on vibration. So have you observed the phenomena of formation of birds, blossoming of the flower, elongation or enlargement of leaves, fruiting, dropping and falling of leaves, ripening of fruits? Usually these happens in accordance with seasonal changes. But sometimes you can see premature falling of buds, leaves, flowers and fruits. Why does it happen so? This is all due to the release of certain plant hormones. So what is in a plant hormones? See, plant hormones we called it as a phytohormones also. In plants, control and coordination is done by chemical substances called plant hormones or phytohormones. Or in other terms, we can say that they are organic compounds that are produced in one tissue and translocated to another, where they produce their specific effect and regulate plant growth and development. Hence, these are also called as growth regulators. And we have classified these growth regulators in 5 different categories: auxins, gibberellins, cytokinesis, abscus acid and ethylene. But generally these 5 main types of growth regulators we have classified under 2 major categories as a plant growth promoters and plant growth inhibitors. Plant growth promoters, example auxins, gibberellins and cytokinesis, whereas in a plant growth inhibitors, example abscus acid and ethylenes are. And when we see the functions, see here I have mentioned certain examples like auxin help in cell division, cell elongation and growth. Gibberellin help in the growth of stem and the branches. Cytokinesis help in cell division, formation of fruits and seeds. Hibiscus acid inhibits growth and affect whittling of leaves. Ethylene helps in flowering and ripening of fruits. Let's come to the movement in the plants. See, as I told you that the movement of the plant in response to a various stimuli is called a tropism, or we called it as a nastic movement. So here there is a different types of examples they have given, like tropic movements are directional movements towards or away from the stimulus, and it depends on growth. They are of different types of, like phototropism, geotropism, chemotropism, hydrotropism, thigmotropism, thermotropism. So we have different types of tropism. First one is phototropism. Is a movement of plant in response to light. If it is towards light, it is called positive phototropism. Example, bending of shoot towards light. If it is away from light, it is called negative phototropism. Example, bending of root away from light. Geotropism is the movement of plant in response to gravity. If it is towards gravity, it is called positive geotropism. Example, downward growth of root. If it is away from gravity, it is called negative geotropism. Example, upward growth of shoot. Chemotropism is a movement of plant in response to chemical stimuli. Example, growth of pollen tube towards the ovule. Fourth, the hydrotropism is the movement of plant in response to water. So here there are certain pictures are there of phototropism, means the plants are moving towards the light. Geotropism, the roots are moving towards the earth. Not only that, in a chemotropism we can see that the pollination mechanism during the fertilization. So these are the certain examples. Let's come to the nastic movements. Are non-directional movements which depend on growth. And in this they have given an example. If we touch the leaves of touch me not plant, its leaves fold up and drops down immediately due to the change in the amount of water in the leaves. Depending upon the amount of water in the leaves, it swells or shrinks. Let's come to the last concept of the topic, the endocrine glands in human beings. The endocrine glands also help to control and coordination. The endocrine gland produce chemical substances which help to control and coordinate various activities in the body. The endocrine glands in our body are pineal gland, hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, adrenal, pancreas, testes and ovary. So if we go on, there are many examples are there. But for our syllabus, we are going to learn a certain examples of endocrine glands. And in this, the first we are going to learn about adrenal glands. There are two adrenal glands are there. One of them upper part of the each kidney. Each adrenal gland has two parts, the outer cortex and inner medulla. These two parts secrete different hormones. The adrenal cortex secretes many hormones. One of these is known as cortisol. It regulates the rate of metabolism and the concentration of salts in the blood. The adrenal medulla secretes three hormones, namely adrenal, noradrenaline and dopamine. Adrenal is normally present in the blood in small quantities. Adrenal is secreted in excessive quantity at times of fear, anger or other emotional stress conditions and prepares the body to face the emergency. Since adrenal brings a coordination of several events like increased heartbeat, rate of respiration, dilation of pupil, and other of the body to place an emergency. It is often referred to as the emergency hormone. See, as we know that we have told that when we are frightened or angry, the adrenal gland produce more adrenaline hormone, which is sent through the blood to the heart, ribs, muscles and diaphragm. This increase breathing rate to supply more oxygen to the muscles to prepare the body to either run away or fight with the enemy. Let's come to the second one, that is iodine. Iodine means we are talking about the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is located close to the trachea in the neck. It secretes a hormone called thyroxine. It is an amino acid in combination with iodine. Thyroxine increases the rate of metabolism. It increases the production of heat in the body, promotes growth and differentiation of tissues. Since it affects indirectly the growth of the body, it is also called the personality hormone. So here, iodine is needed by the thyroid gland to produce the hormone thyroxine. Thyroxine controls the metabolism of carbohydrates, fats and protein and helps in proper growth. If the diet is insufficient in iodine, it causes a goiter. See, simple goiter, if there is a deficiency of iodine in the food, thyroid gland increases in size. This results in the swelling of the throat. Goiter can be cured by administering iodine along with the food and water. Goiter cases are found in areas where iodine is less in soil and water. It is an endemic disease. Usually coastal people do not suffer from goiter because seawater and soil are rich in iodine. Let's come to the third. The pituitary gland produces growth hormone. Deficiency of this hormone in childhood causes dwarfism, or excessive of this hormone causes tall growth. That is called as gigantism. Let's come to the pituitary gland. It is a tiny gland of the size of a pea situated at the base of the brain. It secretes several hormones, some of which have control over the endocrine glands. Pituitary is differentiated into an anterior and a posterior lobes. It influences the rate of growth of the body. It influences the secretion of hormone from thyroid gland, activity of adrenal gland, secretion of milk from mammary glands, excretion of water from the kidney, and contraction of muscles of uterus. It also influences the development of ovary and testes. If the secretion of growth hormone is more prior to puberty, growth rate will be very high, and this condition is called as gigantism. If the growth hormone is secreted less prior to puberty, growth rate is retarded, and this condition is called dwarfism. The excessive secretion of growth hormone in adults result in a disease called acromegaly. This symptom of diseases is disproportionate growth of bones, particularly in jaws, nose, hands and legs. Let's come to the fourth one, the pancreas. The pancreas is a mixed gland with a portion functioning as an exocrine gland and another portion functioning as endocrine gland. The cells of endocrine pancreas are called islets of Langerhans. They secrete two hormones, insulin and glucagon. Insulin promotes the conversion of glucose to glycagon for storage in the liver and muscles. Insulin is liberated when the blood glucose level are high, usually when food is digested and absorbed. If sufficient insulin is not produced, glucose level in the blood increases and it is excreted through the urine. This condition is called diabetes mellitus. Usually, diabetes is identify the presence of sugar in urine. Frequent urination and thirst are two other common symptoms of diabetes. These diseases can be controlled by the administration of insulin injection. Glucagon is secreted when the blood glucose level are low. It influences the conversion of glycogen into glucose. This glucose is released into the blood and supplied to the tissues. The last, the testis, or we called it as gonads, in both male and females. Apart from producing gametes, gonads, the testes and ovaries also secretes the hormones. The testis secretes the male sex hormone called androgens. The most common hormone in the testosterone, it is responsible for the appearance of the male secondary sexual characters at puberty, such as beard, mustaches, and the low-pitched voice. Deficiency of testosterone result in undersexed individuals whose masculine characters are developed to a low degree. The ovary secretes female sex hormone called estrogen, the most common of which is estradiol. These hormones promote the development of feminine characters at puberty, such as the development of uterus, mammary glands, and the changes during menstruation cycle and pregnancy. Deficiency of estrogen causes infertility. Corpus luteum is a yellow body in the ovary which secretes the hormone progesterone. It influences the ultimate uterine changes necessary for pregnancy. Deficiency of estrogen may cause sterility. So in this diagram, we can see that there are different types of glands which secrete the different types of hormones. But for our syllabus, we have only few glands which are going to secrete different kinds of hormone. So this ends your topic, the control and coordination.